Hello and welcome back. And today I'm at one of my least favorite places to be, and that is on top of the hunting stand. Here I am sitting on top of the hunting stand. Way down there's the ground. I am not a fan of heights, but we had to get up here today because I needed to repair a spot here in the corner. The stand was leaking water, and I want to get that repaired before it gets out of control and starts damaging the inside of the floor, or the wall I should say. So what I ended up doing is I went and bought some window flashing, some window door flashing that's used to wrap doors with, or entrances for doors and windows when you put them on. And I went ahead and pulled off the old drip panel that I put up here. It's way down there. I don't know if you guys can see it. And I ended up putting this window wrap, or door wrap, what do you want to call it, all the way across that seam there, where what I had done, I mean, it's my own fault. What I had done is I had put the other drip panel up here before, and I nailed right through the shingles, which you're not supposed to do apparently. Apparently you're supposed to put the drip edge underneath the shingles, but I'm not exactly a roofer, so I didn't know that when I did it. Because of that, I think there was some water penetration going on in that corner. Seems like the rest of the, all the other corners seem to be fine, and so I think this is the only spot that's got a problem. Covered it up with this window flashing, and then I added an extra board on the outside of here, a 2x4 on the outside of the stand. I guess you would call it a fascia board at this point. I guess that's what it'd be called. And I'm going to nail the drip edge into that fascia board. If anything leaks through the nails I'm going to put into this, it'll run, into that board. Won't penetrate back into the stand because I wrapped this tape all the way on the other side, probably about another 1.5 inches. I think that'll solve my problem. And I'd like to get it done so I can get off of this roof. I'm just not a fan of heights for sure. So I'm going to get that done real quick. I don't even know if I can put the camera any way you guys can see. Maybe I can hook it up to the ladder here, maybe, so you guys can see. I'm not gonna mess around too much because I want to get down as soon as I can. But all I got to do now is put this underneath the flashing on that, nail it in, and I think I'm good to go. Let's get that part finished and get off this roof. Well, I really can't get it hooked up to that ladder, so I'm going to just set you guys down like that for now. I'm going to put this one underneath the other flashing there. Make sure that's all tied up against there. And then I'm going to just nail it in here a couple of spots. And I think that's all we'll have to do is put a nail here in it, maybe 1 or 2 other nails in it. I think we'll be good to go. Now if I can just find my hammer, which is behind me, I think if I go right here, I'll be good. All right, that one is in there. And I think that'll work. I might even cover that with flashing tape too, just because I made a little divot there. I'd rather the rain go off this way. So I'm going to put one more there, and then I'll put another piece of flashing tape over this whole thing, I think, just to give me some added protection. This flashing tape will deteriorate over time, but hey, we're not building a house here, so I'm going to put one more in here. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that up with flashing tape too, just for the fun of it since I'm up here. Hopefully I won't have to come up here again. So here's the other side, and you can see my mistake was nailing into that drip edge like I did when I had it up here. That should have been nailed underneath the shingles. Because I put an underlayment underneath it, I should have nailed the drip edge to that and then put the shingles out to the edge. The reason I did it this way because I was afraid the wind was going to grab it and pull it off eventually. I guess I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have just had faith that the asphalt was going to stick to it. I guess you can always put extra asphalt underneath the edge here, just out of either out of a caulking gun or just out of a paint can, and put it on there and then make sure that sticks to it. I think that's the proper way to do it, and I wouldn't have had this problem. So at least I've learned now on this stand, so when I'm building the second stand out in the North Bathwoods, I won't have the same problem. So while I'm up here, I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of flashing tape on that too, just for the fun of it, since I'm already here, and hopefully I won't have to climb up here again. Or maybe I won't have to climb up here again for a long time, I hope anyway. So I'm going to cover that up with the flashing tape. If that does break down and doesn't work, then I guess the next step would be to put extra felt up there and actually put, the cement on top of that. I guess you call it wet and dry, I think is what they call it, made by Henry's and a bunch of other companies. You could put the kind of a webbing on there like you do for drywall, and then you cover that up with either the caulking gun or the can, and that would, I think, solve it as well. But I think I'm going to try this for now. This won't last forever. I think the sun will eventually break this down, but I don't really have a leak over here at this point, so putting this in here is not gonna hurt anything, I don't think. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna get off this roof. All right, that side's done and taped. That side is done and taped. I think what the real problem I might have in the future is water might penetrate underneath that tape and loosen it all up. May end up with the same problem. It was a small leak in that area there, so I think I mean, hopefully that tape will cover it. I've taped it twice here. If water does penetrate underneath there, it will definitely probably loosen it up eventually. But hey, let's see how that goes. And if that doesn't work, then next time all I'll need to do is come up here and remove that tape off of there. Obviously, probably is what I'll do at that point. And I'll put the asphalt felt down and I'll cover that with the wet and dry if I have to. That would be a more permanent solution. But at least now I know, and you know, for next time, don't do it that way. Nail your drip edge underneath your shingles, not on top of your shingles. That's where I went wrong. At least I do have a pitch on this roof that goes that way, so you know the water's going to run that direction anyway. That might help me a little bit. I always thought that was going to happen anyways. The water's going to run that way, but I think it was pooling right there and kind of going down is what was going on. Hopefully that solves my problem. Got that side done, I got this side done. We're going to get off this roof. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys in the next one.